Failed to move. Not unexpectedly. Could have gotten another Mindworm there. Keeping energy in reserve is military readiness. Whereas if I invest in infrastructure, that infrastructure takes time just to pay for itself before I have more energy in production that could potentially be used to quickly build up in a war. So it's a lower level state of readiness than keeping the energy in the bank. But it's whereas military units cost support, energy in the bank doesn't. So this is a way to keep high enough readiness against Sparta, having lots of energy in reserve, while at the same time not completely crushing my economy. I'm starting to shift towards a more probably shouldn't have done that if that had failed. I mean, if that found a Mindworm, I'd only have that one unit that could attack it. Oh well. Worked out. So I'm doing a few more farmers than before. I'll probably eventually do a colony pod at World Food Program here. Or planetary trust, since it's actually a smaller base and that's more efficient. Conversion of nutrients to colony pods. Anyways, built some colony pods, settle out here. It's not great terrain. It's part of why the farmers. Some colony pods here from these small bases. Smaller bases are more efficient places to do colony pods, and that the populous cost less nutrients to replace. Farmers, colony pods, an investment in my economy. It's not going to enhance my military readiness like building military units or even probe teams would. But I can't completely choke my infrastructure. Well, it was an initial mad dash to have enough recon rovers that if the Spartans attacked me, I was confident I could at least stop them from capturing bases, and ideally keep them from coming and destroying my terraforming or forcing my formers to not terraform or sit in bases or terraform further back. So I was trying to keep a strong enough military to at least prevent disruption of my economy, and ideally to disrupt the Spartan economy. I had very low hopes of actually taking a base, unless their military is much weaker than I thought. But that was the idea with all the recon rovers. And I could send probe teams and find, the Spartans have way fewer units than I thought. And they're just overvalued because they have impact weaponry. And say, okay, I might actually be able to take a base from them if I do a war now. But because I have a massive 40 recon rovers. And they're valued half as much as they should be. If lasers were the pinnacle of tech, they would contribute twice as much power rating each. Impact rovers, I think they can contribute twice the power rating, and then by their existing, they cut the power rating of recon rovers in half. That is to say, 4 recon rovers, I'm pretty sure, is equivalent to 1 impact rover in power ranking. Is there a power formula here? Let's see. Add cost over 20. For combat units, for each side unit. For combat units, add cost over 10 of weapon strength to best. Okay, so no, it would be 2/3, but then half. So yeah, 3 recon rovers or 1 impact rover have the same might formula ranking. But it doesn't matter if I'm attacking scout patrols or enemy rovers that have no armor. A recon rover will kill them almost as well as an impact rover. Not quite as well, but it's 2/3 odds versus 3/4 odds. Versus quarters 4-1. 80% odds of victory versus 66. So the impact rovers are still better, but not nearly as much as they're overvalued. I'd much rather have 3 recon rovers than 1 impact when attacking laser squads and enemy recon rovers and impact rovers, and for that matter, probably even synth metal troops. Because the rovers can be in more places at once if there's more of them. Which is to say, I may actually be stronger in the Spartans, even though the game thinks I'm weaker. So I probably am being overly cautious. I don't want to maintain a military that's drastically large in them if I'm not going to use it. I'm better off saving the support costs and
Bot recovered.
swept away by a tidal wave. Okay, so nothing useful. That's the one of the dimensional gates on land. My skim ship didn't get damaged by that, which a tidal wave realistically should, and it actually reset its movement. It had no movement left, and now it's 4 again. So cool. I guess I can sail into this bay quicker. There's very likely a faction on this landmass. In fact, I'm almost positive of it. Doing the whole moving diagonally thing because you get more tiles explored that way. That's why hex-based systems are better, because none of this silly I'm going to zigzag to explore more tiles thing. If someone happened to walk a rover or scout patrol into the slam point, I meet them right now, but that's incredibly unlikely. I'll probably have to poke along the coast for a while. Of course, I have to pass through Xenofungus over here. Do I really want to go into that bay? Probably. I'll give it a shot and hope there's a clear ocean tile touching this one. If I meet someone, I can start tech trading or selling techs or buying techs. Energy for tech. I mean, it would cost 366 lab points to unlock a tech. I can probably buy a tech for like 200 energy. Help me not fall behind in the tech race, even though I'm stuck with 50 econ, 50 labs because of my low efficiency. I can't really diverge much from that. Although, I could do stuff like this without waste. If I needed the psych for larger bases. On Textile Nation, I'd probably rather cut it into labs for the psych points, though, and just buy techs. It's more cost effective, and yeah, you can also probe. So steal or buy techs. That's going to be cheaper than discovering them myself. But I'm not sure I get the cool quotes if I steal a tech. Which is ironic because the quote for plasma steel, for high energy chemistry, it gets you plasma steel, is actually written as if the believers are stealing it from someone. You'll see when I get that tech. If I know they're over there, the Mindworms. You know, I could go here. Darn it. I was going to say if a Mindworm popped, I could attack it with the other Scout Patrol. This one died. I was trying to select this guy. I probably don't want to hang on the fungus for no reason, though. Let's try and go that way. No Mindworm. No move. And this guy will get out of the fungus. Because that does provide a defensive penalty. Rather, it gives the aliens a offensive buff, being in the fungus. I could bombard this isle to deep. If I'm not mistaken, although I'd have to see it. This should be in range now. Action. Long range fire. I think I reduced it to half health. No. Not even sure I did that. It's got 60%. So if it attacked, it'd be roughly even odds. Skim ship, but I don't mind those odds entirely because I'll remove the threat that I'll keep wandering around, and if I win, I might gain an experience level. And 20 turns of the reduced support costs for defense command will allow me to make one more foil than I would have otherwise done. Or divert that into probe team production if I want. It's not worth having a large green navy. I'm better off with a smaller, like hardened one. The reduced support costs of a smaller navy gradually allow the navy to grow back up to the same size with more experience. Boom, boom, boom. Get on the boat. Instead of trying to go to the fungus twice, and I'll go by way of the base and former. That scout patrol. Well, the goal is still to get on the ship, probably. So yeah, I'm trying to get lots of scout patrols over to this continent.
Indigenous life form.
Okay. Another mindworm boil. Attack! Achieved hardened status. 30 energy credits of plant pearls. Sweet. Alright, I'm going to no longer designate as defender. Now that is damage and actually higher experience. In fact, I'll make the undamaged lower experience because I value my experienced units a lot more in my greener ones. Trying to get elite forces up. So the actual stat defender is the disciplined scout patrol. Not this damaged one. It's been a little bit till the transport makes it here, but it will eventually.
Turn complete.
Go there. It's going to need to be there eventually, in this way I can make sure it's not attacked. This is, of course, bad for collateral damage, but I'm going to pull both the damage units onto the transport foil and I'll unload 2 more full health ones. Damage ones can heal fully at the monolith or oceans too. Oceans too, I think, is quicker because they don't have to move as far. Especially because I don't want to offload into the fungus, so offload where the formers are. So, and then move 1 more tile versus 2. And still have to return the movement. You see what I'm saying? Even if it takes more turns to heal oceans too, and it also defends the base that way. But yeah, still want to keep making my efforts to push through this fungus because I still want to find any new pods on this continent. Also, I'd like to have over 500 energy in reserve because there's a rare but random event where if you have over 500 energy, you can get a energy market boom. But the same event, like there's a trigger, and if you have over 500, you get energy. If you have less than 500 in reserve, you lose energy. So I would rather get the positive thing. If I found one more Mindworm this turn, I would already have over that. But I didn't. These are all moved. I don't think there's any rovers that are just sitting in a base or something that could do that with. Yeah, no, everything's deployed pretty aggressively now. There is this, but it's guarding the alien artifact. Yeah. There's a chance I would have gotten over 500 this turn, but I'll get there in 2 turns or less, for sure. It's a very rare event. But 500 energy is like 250 minerals, so it's a good number of minerals I can rush into military units if need be. Probably less because I may have to rush at higher cost if things get really bad unexpectedly, but I'm saving support costs over time, so it'll eventually pay for itself, this strategy. It's not like I could split the difference and have more military units, but also more infrastructure. And just less energy, but there isn't a lot of infrastructure. Immediately I'm waiting for pops to grow. I'm waiting for formers to do terraforming. That'll open up investment opportunities to, for instance, build new bases over here and work terraforming that I've established. Like this forest can grow. I'll build a road out this way soon enough, etc. Let's see, I might put a base on this flat and moist tile next to energy resources. Especially if I have a condenser here. This flat and rolling tile. Though actually, the arid tiles here. I may actually want to do a condenser north in the. I guess it depends if I have use of a 3 nutrient tile at World Food Program. The condenser here. More than one of them. Probably not. So yeah, I might actually do a this flat and moist tile condenser. Build another base here. This flat and rainy tile inside the red line already, but although a base here can work this rolling moist tile. Yeah, maybe I'll do that. Plus there's. Yeah, I'll probably do that. Because cutting back some fungus is a slow process. I might want to raise the elevation on this tile before we build a base, because I'm not sure if I can do it if there's a base on the tile. That'll make this tile no longer sloped if it raises everything adjacent to at least 2,000 meters, which it might not. But it will raise the elevation of stuff further downhill. Like this might end up over 1,000 meters. This might end up over 1,000. So, point is, it has its uses, and higher elevation helps with artillery battles. It's the only place where there's elevation bonuses, whether you can change the game configs to have it affect other combat. Alright, let's do a quick one over of the bases, micro stuff, and then I'll probably end the turn and probably the video because this has gone long. Try to less rants about real world stuff and more gaming next video, hopefully. That Milton Friedman thing was just really bothering me after I discovered a really, really shitty quote he said about immigrants. I'm like, oh my god, I kind of sort of respected this guy. I didn't think he would ever say something that horrible, but he did. I thought he was wrong, but at least a principled person. Unique among most of the right-wing economists, since most of them are completely unprincipled douchebags. But no, he was just another unprincipled douchebag who did a better job of hiding it than most of the right-wing economists. The famous ones, Mises, Hayek, and I guess Friedman fits in with them now as all unprincipled far-right economists that nobody should have any respect for. Terrible people, every one of them. It's funny, there's a saying, never meet your heroes. He was not a hero of mine, but the reason that saying so often holds true is not because, oh, nobody's perfect. It's because our society puts terrible people on a pedestal. So almost always the people who are held up as heroes are terrible. It's not because there aren't good people in the world. There very much are. It's more because you don't, if you're a good person, it's highly likely that the capitalist system will treat you like shit and throw you in jail, not throw you up as a hero, and not give you media attention. Or they'll whitewash your legacy sometimes in ways that make you harmless and less interesting, like Martin Luther King Jr., who was actually a Marxist. He was quite openly a socialist, not a Marxist-Leninist, not a communist like me, a democratic socialist. He became that way in the last few years before he died, so he wasn't always. So I'm sure people come up with quotes from his earlier in his life before he became a Marxist. And they would be right that in those quotes he was not a Marxist. That was something later in life. Martin Luther King Jr. became a Marxist, and then he was killed. And he was killed partly because of his pivot to Marxism, is probably the truth of it. I don't know what the official story of who assassinated him is not necessarily the real reason it happened. People don't often get assassinated just for the heck of it. I'm not some conspiracy theorist, but assassinations don't happen by accident. There's usually something, especially prominent, famous individuals. They have a lot of security around them. So it takes people with real money and power to want someone dead. This is more true of political figures than like a musician. Like, I don't buy into the conspiracy theories about why John Lennon was killed, like the musician, because he was a musician. But prominent political people are almost always killed for political reasons. No matter what they tell you is the reason. It's often a lie. And again, that's different from other types of people who end up being killed. That's 2-2. This is 1-2-2. Why would I not take the extra nutrients? I think at some point there was something with headquarters. Maybe it was working that tile. I probably didn't realize I stopped working it though. In favor of this tile, most likely. Cool. strictly better yields than the borehole. And this enables if I want to trade 2 nutrients for a mineral and 2 energy. The lab point will go to waste. But for a mineral and energy credit, I think I'd rather store nutrients in case of a famine, though. Give myself more time to react. Or do this, even. Less eco damage, less chance of eco damage. An energy credit and a mineral. I mean, sorry, a nutrient instead of a mineral. Yeah, that'll work fine. Just mean I spend 2 more energy credits than rushing the probe team, probably. Or 3, maybe. But the space is not yet at the cap. I can grow World Health Organization to size 8, it's size 7, without having to worry about drones, and with the police unit all the way to size 9. Actually, I don't need a police unit, because I'll get an extra talent for free, so I can grow this to size 9 with the nutrients. So let's work that condenser. Okay, Livio Council, I'll have to check on, see what happened with its growth, and Defense Command next turn. But mainly, rearranging the World Health Organization tiles was the big thing. Forest expands. Rover disengages, but the Mindworm, I think it took a point of damage before it disengaged, so it wasn't useless. I have an urgent message from Colonel Corson Santiago. Greetings, Commissioner. You are, as always, the most self-righteous of us all. That's because I'm staying true to the original UN Charter to some degree, trying to create a better world, and your follower is the most whining. Santiago, Colonel of the Spartans, salutes you. Your forces have been spotted in Sparta territory, but in terms of our treaty of friendship, you must withdraw them immediately. Where was the option of withdrawing them? I would have said yes. I have Sister Miriam of Believers on Channel 8. Should I put her through? Yes. You can see data link stuff. Profile. Headquarters in New Jerusalem. Council votes, so that's her pop count, 15. She's not running any advanced. Social engineering, personality aggressive, mood ambivalent. If I run fundamentalist, she'll actually like me, and I may be able to get a treaty of friendship without having to offer a bribe. So, the familiar face of Commissioner Law, Sister Miriam of the Believers, offers greetings. Words your accomplishments has spread since the time of planetfall. You may be aware that I plan to embrace the truth of the good Lord's scripture. Do not attempt to interfere. Okay. Have you heard from Santiago recently? I've not been able to locate her or Spartan faction since the time of planetfall. I want to continue some of our earlier conversations. If you have a comlink frequency, I offer 50 energy credits for your trouble. Sure. She'll start asking Santiago to go fundamentalist, which Santiago will probably say no to. Santiago will start asking her to do values power at some point. Because that's the actually preferred. People get the stupid idea Santiago likes police state. No, she actually likes values power. Now, people have like this Mandela effect of misremembering what the leaders like and dislike. Santiago is not impressed by being police state and Miriam doesn't dislike democracy. It's not her anti-ideology. That's values knowledge. But she'll ask you to switch to fundamentalist and get annoyed if you say no. But she's not actively mad at you for running democracy. In fact, she can run it herself. Anyways, her opinion of me improved for making that deal. giving her the calming frequency of the Spartans. Your information on doctrine flexibility intrigues me. Are you willing to exchange it for a copy of my world map? I think she likes you more if you just say yes straight off. I do need a world map at some point. It will give me useful information on where to explore next. So I'm going to say, yeah, it's a deal. And she's now my Namius. Yeah, I think she would have, if I offered a counter offer, she would have liked me less. I must caution you that my engineers complete an advanced recon rover prototype. Same units, I feel the mess. The first units are entering service now. Rendering my force is practically invincible. It's just a standard boilerplate message telling you their best unit. Which is to say she doesn't have a military tech lead on me. And her might is feeble and her population tiny. So I also don't mind helping her. She's weak. The main faction she hates is the university, who strategically, gotta mention this, my main rivals, university. God, this video is so long, probably just cut in two. University and Morganites I'm going to have real conflict with because they'll be running planned and tell Morgan no to go in free market, and he hates planned and likes free market. I may run green at times, but he'll still ask me to go free market. There'll be times I run free market, but eventually I'm going to come in conflict with Morgan over economy. And university, I may run values wealth, and they'll ask me to switch to knowledge, and I'll say no, knowledge would actually upset Miriam, but also wealth for the industry and economy is usually, it's going to be more useful to me. She wants Centauri ecology as a personal favor. So let's see, she traded. I gave her a tech for her world map. I gave her a data links frequency for energy credits. What tech did I give her? Marty, my brain's a little bit. She's already my Namius. I can't believe she doesn't have Centauri ecology, but yeah, I don't mind helping her anyways, because if she weakens the university, great. The university is a long-term threat because they'll transcend before anyone else, forcing me to invest much more heavily in labs to avoid that, and also just not to fall behind. I also don't like the complete lack of ethics. Like, when I think university, I think like Nazi scientists doing completely inhumane experiments. That's why they have extra drones. No respect for them, even though Zarkov came from the Soviet Union and Russia after the Soviet Union fell, which of course did. Demonizing the Soviets, you could have made him a literal Nazi scientist, but I guess that'd be too on the nose. There were some really unethical scientists in the Soviet Union, though. Part of it being a one-party state. I'm a Marxist, not a Marxist-Leninist. Democratic centralism leads to one-party state, leads to subversion of socialist principles, or at least compromise on them. Sometimes compromise is necessary, but that particular compromise is not. Anyways, I'll help her however I can. Although opinion does cap out if she's already my Namius. You know what? It's 25 energy credits. I'm willing if you can spare 25. Can I afford your price? Have it your way then. Because I want to help her. I want to strengthen her so that she might weaken other factions that by going to war with them. She's very weak. So it's not like she's going to easily conquer someone. Even if she conquers them, it'll be through a long, drawn-out war that leaves her not that strong. And I don't want her to get Ian. She's very low in the power rankings, so it's more like if she's weak, she'll get Ian. After I deal with Sparta, Yang is a real threat. He's one of the strong factions, and he'll hate me for running democracy. And then the university is probably the next big threat. Morganites are weak and it'll take a long time until they become a real threat. I may have to work my way to the believers or the Gaians after. One by one, I'm going to come for each of them and turn them all to submissives, probably, and thus win the game. I've been praying for you lately, Commissioner Law. The Lord wishes us to live side by side as brothers and sisters. We must sign a treaty of friendship and worship together in peace. Amen, Miriam. Lasting peace is a great gift indeed. True. And her ideas may be less incompatible. I know people have real hatred for her with the... This is actually Cloud Spinder, but it looks almost like flames. With her being like an evangelical. And there can be really problematic things about them. But she's at least open to taking care of the environment. She can run green economics. She's open to socialism, planned economics. So actually taking care of the poor and the vulnerable. And there have been liberation theology Christians who have historically been allies to civil rights movements, to Marxist movements in Latin America. And the CIA killed some of the most ones they consider the most dangerous Catholic priests who worked with the Marxists to fight for working class rights. There have been Christians who are big environmentalism. I mean, in America, you see the most right-wing, dipshit, evil, capitalism is God's will kind of right-wing people who've taken over Christianity, and they're terrible people. But that doesn't mean all Christians or all evangelicals are terrible, just that these people have wormed their way into power. Anyways, excellent, Commissioner Law. This treaty demonstrates the planet is large enough for both your humanitarian initiatives and for my life of worship. And her humanism, not wanting to turn humanity into a bunch of cyborgs or replaced by machines entirely. I think people should approach those things with caution, gradually. Really think if that's what I want to do, rather than sleepwalking or sprinting into it, and often with the very rich making decisions for everyone else, like the U.S. The Republicans trying to ban all AI regulations for 10 years. There's a real freaking danger of getting society on a runaway trajectory, so that someday in the distant future, when we have general AI, the regulations won't have had as many decades of development behind them and dooming humanity or forcing people to do like Neuralink cyborg stuff to have any chance of surviving in the world that comes to being. This idea that general sentient AI will necessarily wipe humans out, not necessarily true. But it may consider humans to be nothing but a nuisance and a pest. And the only way humans might be able to keep up is to turn themselves into cyborgs, hence Elon Musk's thing. And that's not a good thing. Musk is a crazy fascist. And putting power in the hands of people like that, the billionaires with the tech that people need to survive, it's a really kind of techno-fascism we'll end up with. Anyways, excellent, Commissioner. Well, this treaty demonstrates the plan is large enough for both your humanitarian initiatives and for my life of worship. It also opens the door for trade and commerce, which is good. To my people, I might eventually get some commerce points. And diplomatic relations would be more stably positive with the treaty. May the friendship between the peacekeepers and the believers last forever. Maybe at some point I can pact with her. Could be useful ally and go into war with, say, the Hive, who are the two factions that are the most dangerous to me after Spartans are the Hive and the Gaians, but the Gaians are pretty pacifist. As long as you're not running free market, it's hard to upset them too much. Or if you do atrocities. You're like, oh, the Gaians attacked me. It's usually because they ran free market. Or they did atrocities against other factions, or more often, both. You get a lot of players this game, they run free market only, and they nerve staple, which upsets other factions, I'm pretty sure a little bit. It definitely upsets them if it's bases you took from them. I'm not sure if it does if it's your own bases. They use nerve gas, they use planet busters, and they're surprised when one attacks them. They obliterate bases. I have a proposal to make. probably has comlink frequencies for at least someone. Let's see if we can swear a pat to brother first and make him more amenable. What do you offer in return? Name your price. Because either energy or research, maybe? I see that cooperation could be profitable. In fact, recent events have left my energy budget with a 150 credit shortfall. Can you spare the reserves to make it up? Yes. This helps her. Again, she's one of the weakest factions. I don't want anyone to crush her. So, yes. Then I, Sister Miriam of the Believers, greet you formally as Pat Brother. Together we shall both defend the principles of our UN Charter and embrace the truth of the Lord's Scripture. May our plans and forces converge to victory. Pat Brother, I'm now uploading my most recent exploration data to your central computer. Made the world map I gave her a tech for earlier, useless, but I wanted her to have the tech. It made her happy with me, made the Pat Brother viable in the first place. And I can get the energy back. She'll either put it into infrastructure so she doesn't fall behind, or she'll put it into running a higher tech rate and maybe get techs that can trade with her. Or she'll use it to buy techs off of me. I'll be able to ask for energy back. And is there comlink frequencies? And whose comlink frequency do you desire? Let's see if she has the university. Or not, the Morganites. Name your price. But of course, I'll happily provide you with a Brotherhood comlink frequency. So she did have contact with the Morganites. Need comlink frequencies. University. Name your price. She knows them as well. The Gaians. She has not found the Gaians yet. The Hive. Still, I got comlink frequencies, and let's see if I can get some of these energy credits back. Schedule of loan repayments. The AI is a little less likely to attack you if you have a loan, I'm pretty sure. And the interest rate they charge is usually low enough that it's economically viable. And this should get some of the energy back, and then the rest she'll either spend or probably reasonably wisely, or if she's not flush with energy. 150 is a bit much, but if she has like 50, she'll probably be careful with it. The AI is programmed, I think, to be more careful with energy the less it has. We invest it in the most desperately needed things, and yeah. So a generous schedule of loan repayments. That's not something. She says here's none to give. Maybe she thought I wanted more than 150 I just gave her, or maybe it didn't count up yet. What a pleasant chat we've had. Commissioner, well, I'm afraid, however, that I must now attend to other matters. Miriam out. Oh, she's got a number of bases. Each of these can support 4 units, too. 6 bases. Nice. It's a lot less than my 14, but she hasn't been idle the last 107 years. Yeah. Remember I was saying if someone moved a unit onto this peninsula? Someone did. The Believers. They have 2-1 infantry. Pretty sure that's cost ineffective. It costs 3 rows of minerals instead of 2. Better having armored and laser units separately. But I guess the AI does it. When I'm behind in tech and feeling confident with the minerals, and you of course gain support costs more slowly. Building the cheaper stuff will eventually have more units and it'll equal out in terms of higher support. You'll end up over time with about the same number of units either way, but they'll be better this way. So I guess it's not terrible. It's such a low tech rating, but it's also not great. less vulnerable to artillery than something with no armor. Still, I'd rather have the weapons. 2-1-1 is probably... Let's just check this design, because I can do the same thing of... Yes, cost 3 rows. I would not build that myself. But, whatever. It also contributes more to might rating. Next time, I can contact the university and the Morganites, who might have, in turn, other conflict frequencies. Now things very quickly spiral into... I know all the other factions. I forget if I can call the Planetary Council once I've contacted everyone. I think I can. If everyone, or maybe everyone has to know everyone else. Maybe there's a tech requirement. I forget. Then I can get to be Planetary Governor. Gives me a little extra energy in UNHQ. And infiltration all the factions, so I don't have to use probe teams to infiltrate the Spartans. And I forget if you keep the infiltration if someone else replaces you as Planetary Governor in the future. I've never found that out. It'd be interesting, though it's highly unlikely anyone will ever displace me, so whatever. And there's a cost infiltrating. Pay that much further down the line when it's effectively less. The energy I saved has been invested and reinvested and reinvested. Cool. Look at the bases. People whine about the bases being poorly located, but I see nothing wrong with New Jerusalem. It's in range of nutrients. And it's on a flat tile, which is good. Galvinson's Hope is on a rolling tile, but there's not a better space around to build a base on. It's on the coast, so she can build naval units from it. The Rapture is also on the coast, and it's in range of both a monolith and mineral. Divinity Base is in range of 2 nutrients. Time Salvation can share this nutrient resource and work 2 different energies. These bases are all well located. Some people have their own theories on where bases are and they get annoyed, but these are fine. I'm sure some people they're too close together. No, actually, it's fully worth it in this game to build your bases only 1 or 2 tiles apart all the time. I see nothing wrong with these base locations. I would put a base here or something. I would gladly, if I end up going to war with her, take all these bases and eventually assimilate them. Or some of them I might, like the smaller ones, build colony pods that are abandoned. And put my own bases up around, which I don't have to assimilate bases, even if it's built from colony pods. Say if I did 2 colony pods from Time of Salvation, build a base here and here. Neither of those bases needs to be assimilated. And then I could resell some of the pops from, say, Divinity Base, so it reduces to a size 1 or 2, which is easier to keep happy. Or maybe produce 2 of 4 if it's like size 8. Assimilated bases have more unassimilated bases have more drones. So, also if you rename them before they're assimilated, the faction you renamed, use 3 opinion. There's like an opinion system that goes from 1 to 20. Can be outside that range if you nuke someone, but normally it's in the 1 to 20 range. Your opinion, basically, that'll drop you 1 or 2 like opinion ranks in 3 points. If you rename a base that's not yet been fully assimilated, you'll know it's fully assimilated when the graphics change to your own type. When there's my style of architecture on a base, then I know it's finally assimilated. I think it has to be controlled by you more turns has been controlled by the other faction, so it could easily take, by the time I take one of these bases, 150 turns to assimilate somewhere, which is a long time. Which is why it's often worth abandoning bases and just selling the infrastructure and abandoning them, building new ones. All right. Well, that went, I think, reasonably well. I've given the believers a bit of a chance to survive against whoever they share their island with. I don't know what faction it is yet, but they were doing very poorly in the rankings. They're probably doing better now. I have a trading partner who I can eventually get texts from if she has ones I don't. Eventually get commerce income from. Maybe if the Spartans attack me, I could have her declare war on them. She might be able to show up with like 1 or 2 skim ships and bombard a Spartan base, or if they have a navy. It's not going to might be much use, but it doesn't hurt. And if she's at war with the Spartans, she's not at peace with them and she's not trading with them. So there's that too. Even if she, not just commerce income, but tech trades and stuff. Yeah, I don't know if this will last. I'm not necessarily going to appease her. At some point, she may cancel the Path to Brotherhood, but for now, it's useful. It's an alliance of convenience for the moment. And I'm surprised Santiago I didn't get the option to instantly withdraw my units. I'll explore further and she'll probably warn me again. I'll just, as long as I don't I don't care if I upset Santiago. I just won't do the thing where you refuse to withdraw the units if you're given the choice, because that hurts your reputation. But my integrity is still noble, so hasn't happened yet. Is there a thing somewhere that lists my integrity? Research. I mean, I know it does go through it, but I don't remember which screen. I don't know if there's a way to pull it up on an HQ view. Come on, tell me my integrity rating. Show me I'm just looking at the data view. Commerce, income, no. Let's save. I'm going to cut this video in a sec. I'm going to cut this in 2. It's gone too long. Integrity, noble. Yep. I still have the second highest might rating. Yeah, I can see the believers. They went a little higher in the might rankings. They're now substantially ahead of the Morganites. I don't like Morgan. He's a hyper-capitalist, free market fanatic. Oh, there's a monolith there. Good to know. I think that's as far as I can explore into Spartan territory, though, right now. Right. So the other units will probably hunt Mindworms, and interesting, the Spartans declared war on me. But at this point, they'd have to fight the Believers pretty soon, so whatever. Even easier now, this alliance will quite close Sparta and the Believer territory. This alliance puts me in a position where I don't need to worry as much about defense, and therefore I can invest more in my economy and the quality of life of my people. But yeah, defense command stuff. Well, the lab plan probably just go to waste here. I'm almost positive that, so why? Well, depending on which base goes first in the order, I might still go into next tech, though. There's no competition for that tile, might as well work it. Okay. And Alluvial Council grew. That's right. They're working that. Sweet, sweet minerals. It's probably a good idea. There'll be a borehole there eventually. Take 1 nutrient, 3 minerals over 2 nutrients, 1 mineral. The energy just goes to waste. Inefficiency. All right. Cool. Well, I hope you folks enjoyed the video. Kindness in 2, which I guess means the last video before this didn't have a farewell or anything. But I wish you folks all the best. care of each other. Be kind to yourselves, and may you always find the guiding star lead home. Until next time, this is Northstar. Adieu. Best luck.